And now we're going to talk about night 2 of Stand and Deliver. Matt, what we got here first?
Well, we're going to start off with the one that we skipped the other day, which is the gauntlet match to determine Johnny Gargano's contender for night 2. So, night 1, we're going to have a 6-man gauntlet match that will feature Leon Ruff, Isaiah Swerve Scott, Bronson Reed, Cameron Grimes, Dexter Loomis, and LA Knight.
And that's the order of the gauntlet too, right?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, one thing I was upset about with NXT last week is just Jake Atlas was out, like, without even a mention. That guy's kind of invisible on WWE TV, which is I hope eventually he'll get some kind of shine, because I know apparently he's on 205 Live, but as we determined, you as a 205 Live fan didn't even know it was still on. So anyway, with this lineup, man, I guess if we were to talk about who I want to win, just because I saw him here in the Indies, like, for the longest time, I'd go with Isaiah Scott, Swerve, but I'm thinking maybe Dexter Loomis. I think that makes more interesting match with Johnny Gargano.
I think for story, it definitely does make the more interesting match to do Dexter Loomis. I am kind of interested. They're doing a lot with Cameron Grimes here lately, so I could see him winning this, going on to win the North American Championship, and then bringing in a Cameron Grimes-esque or a Ted DiBiase-esque title belt. Just to keep playing on this GameStop money that he made, or he
GameStonk money,
either GameStop or AMC. I can't remember what got him rich, but it was one of the two.
Yeah.
I don't think that being the last entrant fares well for LA Knight, even though it seems like they're going to push him pretty hard pretty quickly. But Cameron Grimes has kind of got some kind of thing going on with Roddy and potentially more of the Undisputed Era guys. So maybe they go with Loomis here just to keep that story going, and Grimes moves into a some kind of feud with all of the feuding members of Undisputed Era. I have no idea. He beat Roddy, so that kind of ended that, even though I want all of that merch that he had on last week's NXT, like all of it. All right, let's move on. The rest of night 2, well, we'll keep in that same vein. So we've both got, we'll just say for the sake of this, we've both got Dexter Loomis facing Johnny Gargano for the North American Championship.
I think it'd be a pretty solid match. Honestly, I haven't seen much of Dexter Loomis beyond that battle royal. I mean, I've seen him that Halloween Havoc match with Cameron Grimes, right? Like,
yeah.
I saw that. I mean, you couldn't really call that much of a match, though. It was its own thing. So I'm interested. I mean, Johnny Gargano always delivers on takeovers, so I think it'll probably be good. Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be a good match. Loomis, I mean, he had that street fight, parking lot brawl, whatever it was, with Adam Cole. That was a great match. And like you said, Gargano always brings it on a takeover. I think the match will be great. I think inevitably Austin Theory is going to play a role in costing Gargano this title. And then I truly believe that Austin Theory is on they're going to strap a rocket to his ass and just shoot him up the card. He looks like exactly the kind of thing that Vince is going to push at some point. I know he got into some trouble on the main roster and kind of got sent back down, but it's only a matter of time before he catches a hold of that rocket and rides it to the moon to stick with the camera.
The crazy thing about this is, like, yeah. The crazy thing about this is just, like, this North American title match is probably what I'm least looking forward to, or at least it's definitely towards the bottom, and I have no doubt that it's going to be a good match. But it's so weird to me that I'm like, yeah, Gargano, sure, that'll be fun. Like I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think that a Gargano match is like. I mean, honestly, I think aside from like the vacant NXT Tag Championship match, like those are the two that I mean, it just is what it is.
Yeah,
Gauntlet matches are always fun because you get to see a lot of guys that you normally wouldn't. Um, and then the rest of the card for night two is so freaking loaded that I mean, this match could. I mean, unless they just absolutely knock it out of the park, this match could just kind of disappear into the evening.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I think the only way that this like that none of the potential competitors against Gargano are bad. No one that I would like. Oh man, this match is terrible. Unless like Baron Corbin gets added into the battle royal at the last minute, and suddenly the challenger. That's the only way I think this match could go bad. I don't think Gargano can pull an entertaining match out of Corbin. So
now, I
we are.
well, then, if we're going to go that route, I'll throw out my surprise entrant. I want El Vagabundo to turn up and win the North American Championship, and then I want them to pretend that he has no idea who El Vagabundo is when they ask him about it on Raw. So I'm going with Elias.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the meat and potatoes of the rest of this card. We have Santos Escobar versus Jordan Devlin to unify the duplicate cruiserweight championship belts in a ladder match.
I think this will be fun. Again, I'm not like super invested in it, and it's an interesting way for them to solve the problem of that COVID presented with with Jordan Devlin being the champion. So, um, yeah, I think this will be fun. This will be good. But and making it a ladder match probably increase the interest level of this overall. And so I think that was a good call.
I think so too. I'm interested to see. I think this one's got my interest just to see what they make the call for the finish here, because I mean they're still trying to do a lot to draw in the Latin American audience. Jordan Devlin winning is obviously going to signify their continued interest and investment into the UK brand. So really, I think it's going to say more in terms of where their focuses are as a company. But I think they're going to tear it down. I didn't like Escobar losing the mask, but at the same time, he has not been booked like your typical, Kalisto, Sin Cara, masked luchador. They kind of get pigeonholed in WWE if you're not Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
So he's awesome. Jordan Devlin is great. When they brawled, it may have been 2 weeks ago at the end of NXT. I mean, they're going to bring it, and I think this could even as loaded as this card is for night two, this match could potentially steal the show.
All right. What's next on the card?
We have the NXT Women's Tag Team Championship. It should just be the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship because they should have done the right thing and got those belts off Nia and Shayna when they had the chance, but they didn't. But we have Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon defending against The Way, which is Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell.
All right. That could be good. I don't really. I mean, I know about Candice LeRae. I don't know too much about Indy Hartwell. Honestly, I know Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart. Like they work together really well. I think I was mentioning the last time when we watched that last takeover that they just work together really well, and I like their teamwork. So I don't know how Candice and Indy are, but what are your take on it on this?
I'm with you. Shotzi and Ember, they do work really well together, and I think that their characters play really well together too. It doesn't feel disjointed like they were just kind of haphazardly thrown together. obviously Candice LeRae is the strong half. Well, I'm going to call her the strong 90% of the way. Um, Indy Hartwell's probably just there to eat the finisher from Ember, but I mean she's okay. She still feels a little green to me, which pairing her up with Candice LeRae helps hide some of that. I don't imagine that belt's going to change hand anytime soon. Um, Honestly, I don't think this one's going to get a clean finish. I would kind of expect some sort of Dakota Kai involvement here. Um,
Uh-huh.
I think the only thing that might prevent that is that Gonzalez has her title match. So
Man, I think the only reason why the WWE title is still on, or the women's championship or tag championship is still on Shayna and Nia, is just because they're aligned with Reginald, and Vince McMahon likes Reginald, and he wants Reginald on Mania. And so we're getting Reginald on night 2 of WrestleMania.
that's the funniest shit I've
That's for
come
real.
up with in 10 years.
A sommelier? Like, really? That's where we're at now? But yeah, it should just be one championship, because there's not enough tag teams in WWE because you keep on breaking them up anyway. So NXT actually does have tag teams or people that work well together as tag teams. So like, why not keep that WWE championship? It like occasionally goes to the main roster, but most of the time it stays at NXT. Like that's the perfect thing. But that's not where we're at. So,
I do
moving
like.
on.
Yeah, while we're on that, I do like that they're doing that. What the hell are they calling it? The tag team. I think they called it tag team turmoil match for a while, where it's basically a tag team gauntlet match. Um, because that's actually
Oh yeah.
showcasing the fact that they do have women's tag teams still, even though you had completely forgotten them. Um, I like a lot of those teams. I mean, it felt super random at first, but like, why not pair Mandy Rose with Dana Brooke? I mean, the Riot Squad just they kind of come and go because they neglect women's tag team
Yeah.
wrestling in general, but they're great. Um, I even like the Natalia Tamina pairing. I mean, it's kind of got like a legacy vibe to it. Um, I mean, I still don't think
Yeah.
Tamina is rock solid in the ring, but you can tell she's been working on it. Um, I mean, the most random one has got to be former women's champion Naomi pairing up with Lana, but even Lana's showing signs of significant improvement in the ring. So, I mean, there's tons of women's tag teams out there working. I think I I think it just irritates the shit out of me that they find ways to keep pushing Nia Jax, even though she keeps hurting people. Like anybody else on the they wouldn't have even left The Rock out there if he was going out there and hurting everybody. Like it makes no damn sense to me. Um, so there's that. But before I go to our next match, I'm curious to know which one of these you think is going to headline this show, um, because honestly, the Adam Cole Kyle O'Reilly match has gotten much better packages to promote it, and I think it's honestly it's the biggest match on this takeover. But obviously,
Well,
the Finn Balor Karrion Cross NXT title match, they like to have the title headline things. But I think if you're doing the unsanctioned lights out vibe, I think you kind of have to close the show with it.
and I think that's true. I think they're going to do that. At least that's my bet, because it makes sense. And then they did that with, and it might have been for the title when Gargano and Ciampa did it in New Orleans. Um, I can't remember if it was for the title or not, but that went last because they also literally destroyed the ring. Like they pulled up all the mats, they were on the boards, like everything. So I feel like they should be given that much leeway to to destroy as much stuff as possible. And I don't think that that works out. I mean, Balor and Karrion Kross could potentially do that, but I think there's a better chance that it makes more sense for those two to do it.
All right, so we will go in that order. NXT Championship: Finn Balor defends against Karrion Kross.
I'm thinking, we were talking the other day, and you were mentioning that you think maybe Finn's been there a little bit too long now. So I'm just gonna go Karrion Kross. Maybe he's a little bit potentially QAnon sympathetic, but I still think they're gonna put it on. He's a damn good wrestler, and he doesn't seem as crazy as maybe some refs down there. So yeah.
Yeah,
And there's a train that agreed with me.
it's this weird thing nowadays when you literally find yourself having to separate people from their character on TV from the person that they are. And I mean, even we saw that there's a distinct possibility that Bobby Fish is a nut job. I can distance
Yeah.
him on NXT from being a nut job. Um, I I've managed to avoid discussion that Karrion Kross might be a QAnon sympathizer, and being that I spend a significant amount of time in the state that somehow elected Marjorie Taylor Greene. Uh, I find myself completely perplexed by QAnon. That said, I'm going to go with Karrion Kross as well. I stick with my statement that Finn Balor's kind of been there a little long, and I think he's still there because of all the injuries. Um, because it just felt like one after another champ was just having to drop this belt because they got hurt. Um, I guess the only one that didn't get hurt was Keith Lee, but he dropped the belt like 2 weeks after he won it or something. And then they sent him to the main roster.
And supposedly he might be having some health issues anyway, but
Yeah,
so maybe there was something that happened then that's still coming back.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I'm going to go with Karrion Kross. Like I said in the I believe it was the Universal Championship fantasy booking post I did. I think that Finn Balor needs to be the guy headed towards SummerSlam to challenge for the Universal title, no matter who's holding the damn thing. Because I mean, again, the story writes itself. He got his first major, WWE belt, separated his not only separated his shoulder, popped the damn thing back in place during the match so he could finish. I mean, it writes itself. I think that you have to put Finn on a collision course with whoever the champ is, headed towards SummerSlam later this year, and they really need to. They've got to get to a point where they start cycling the NXT veterans. They can go back all they want to. They can win titles. I'm fine with all that, but you got to cycle it. Otherwise, it's going to feel like the main roster does.
Yeah.
All right. That brings us to the what is undoubtedly just going to be. I'm gonna steal some old JR. This is going to be a damn slobber knocker.
Yeah.
Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly are going to beat the ever-loving shit out of each other.
And if you haven't watched the video package, I'll actually put it in the show notes. Watch that package because it's definitely probably one of the top. It's definitely, I think, better than any of the WrestleMania packages I've seen, and it's one of the better WWE packages they've done in a while. They kind of did it a little different. It's almost like a police interrogation thing going on. The two sit down interviews with O'Reilly and Cole, so that itself just makes it more interesting, and it's not cheesy either. So yeah, like I think definitely watch that. I'll put that in the notes. But yeah, I agree. This is going to be nuts. I don't think it'll be as nuts maybe as that Ciampa Gargano match from New Orleans, but it's still going to be pretty damn close.
Yeah,
I think the only thing that's keeping it from being that level, though, also is is not having a crowd, which they're not really going to have. It's going to be Capitol Wrestling Center, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they'll have the small crowd they normally have behind the terrifying cage that you can't really see through. The crowd on these
Yeah.
Capitol Wrestling Center shows just scares the shit out of me. I'm convinced Dexter Loomis is out there at all times, um, just creeping on people because that's what his character is. I I think they're going to tear it
Well, they
down.
built it so it's like a yeah. They built that place like it's a like it's almost like a Bloodsport 2 or something like that, like or like Cage Fighter or something like that. Like you got this bloodthirsty crowd like around it, which it's a cool thing, and it's way I don't know. Way I'm done with the Thunderdome, so I think this is better. So
Yeah, I really hope that once they move to their new Thunderdome home, it's not next week. I think it's the week after that it'll start. I really hope it has a small, more like Capitol Wrestling Center feel to it, because the Thunderdome's just it's
yeah.
ridiculous and it's wasted. 90% of that shit doesn't end up on TV. So like, what's the point in all of it? But by God, we get weird lightning bolts from Bobby Lashley entering, and then when Matt Riddle kicks his flip flop off, we get inexplicable parrots. I don't know, but that's a conversation we'll have going into WrestleMania, where they will undoubtedly do
Yeah.
basically the maggot thing from the Bray Wyatt Randy Orton match.
Oh
We're going to
god.
get parrots all over the ring during Matt Riddle's title defense. So, but yeah, I think that Kyle O'Reilly is going to win this one. Um, I much like Finn Balor, I think that Adam Cole is destined for much brighter lights, and I would be surprised if he does not. I don't think it'll be Raw, but I would imagine that the SmackDown after WrestleMania will be a main roster debut for Adam Cole, um, who should literally just be on a fast track up that card. I think Adam Cole versus Edge, because let's be real, it'd be kind of a waste if you don't put the belt on Edge at this point. I think Adam Cole versus Edge could be a phenomenal match that even Edge has kind of talked up. Um, there's a whole lot that they can do with Adam Cole on the main roster, even though he's not a Vince-sized wrestler. Um, so I think Kyle O'Reilly picks up a win in kind of a farewell match for Adam Cole.
I'll agree with you there. I think two things are going to happen with Adam Cole. Either he's going to rocket to the top, just like you said, he's going to have like an AJ Styles like level rise where he just kind of just kills it, or we're about to watch 4 months in a row of Corbin versus Adam Cole. So hopefully it's not the latter, but I think that there's really only one or two options.
Somehow Matt Riddle survived a Corbin feud, so I think Adam Cole could get it done. Now that said, maybe you put Adam Cole on Raw, since I got a feeling that Omos and AJ Styles are not going to be friends for much longer. Maybe you put Adam Cole on Raw, and we can finally get back to some OG Bullet Club. With AJ finally getting to work with one of his old stablemates there. Now that since there's still one or two left in the company that didn't get canned last April.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so that kind of runs it out. So to counter that, we've got AEW does have on the first night, talking about the first night, they just announced Mike Tyson is returning, which is probably actually a good thing. Either that's gonna help close the gap that there might be with NXT, because it is a really strong card, or they might actually still end up winning the night, just because last time Tyson was on, or when Shaquille O'Neal was on, like you had people tuning in that weren't otherwise watching wrestling. So it's actually a pretty smart move, or at the very least, it's good to probably get their numbers up to make sure like, oh, hey, this is not a week you should skip AEW, even if you're not watching it live. So that's going on. And you've got the John Moxley and the Young Bucks versus Omega and the Good Brothers. So that should also be pretty good. So it's not going to be, they definitely are trying to counter program over there, but I don't think I don't necessarily think they're going to win the night, but it probably with Tyson, it's probably going to be a little bit closer than it otherwise would have been.
Well, with all the respect in the world that I can give to Tommaso Ciampa, the night one card for Takeover it's the weaker of the two, like by a significant margin. I think NXT even knew, let's go ahead and book this thing so that we've got the big night on the night where there is zero competition. Because let's be real, nobody knows how to get to the Roku channel anyway. So I think it's not the more I've thought about it, it's not a bad play. Like we said, Mike Tyson, he's not going to draw in wrestling fans. He's going to draw in people that don't typically tune in. And then, I mean, now that I know that 6-man tag match is happening, I mean, I was going to watch AEW anyway, but now I'm significantly more interested. How is AEW just a 2-hour show, or is that 3? I can't remember.
Just a 2-hour show, yeah.
Okay. I was going to say, because they've apparently the TV listings for both nights of Takeover have it at like 2 hours and 15 minutes or something. So I didn't know if maybe AEW would run.
Oh, yeah.
Then again, with it on,
probably not.
Yeah. Does NXT might start at?
You gotta
start at 7. Maybe it starts at 7. So maybe there is like a whole hour.
So for me, well, no, I think it's their normal TV time, so it should just still be 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific, which is the same time as AEW. So so yeah, we should still be the same.
I always just assume it's 7 because that's when the kickoff shows always start. Which I watch kickoff shows now.
I'm sure there's probably going to be something on the network. Yeah.
I need to see which one of these matches is going to be the shucky ducky quack quack moment. So there you go, WWE. I keep tuning in for the kickoff show just to see what Booker picks. That is literally the only reason I'm watching, because it's sure as shit not Peter Rosenberg.
Oh, man. Well, I think that kind of brings it up to our NXT coverage, and AEW looks like it might be not so bad as well. We're going to be back on Friday, where we're going to talk a little bit about NXT, what went well, what didn't go well, and talking about WrestleMania and Reginald. It's just going to be really just going to talk about how much Reginald is going to mess with the show.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, there you have
subscribe, share. In case you didn't see my post earlier today, if you do all 3 of those things, I'm going to put you in a raffle. I'm going to give away a ton of my shit. Just a couple of things I'm giving away. I have an authentic with certificate of authenticity. That is a Mr. Sacco signed by Mick Foley. I have Volume 1 and Volume 2 of Orange Crush. I'm giving each one of these sumbitches away. I've got Funko Pops. I've got action figures. I've got all kinds of shit. So like, subscribe, share, do all those things. It'll get you entries into my insane WrestleMania raffle, where I'm going to basically clear one of these shelves. So take advantage of it. Get you some free stuff. It's a harmless investment of your time. All you have to do is click the share button. You don't even have to tell people about it. So like, subscribe, and share. I will give you stuff.
All right. See you next time.